Dear parents, do you have children that you always give instructions to, but they find it very difficult to follow your instructions? They don't even obey the instructions at all, and you have already tagged them disobedient children. Then this is for you. Welcome to another edition of Impactful Parenting Tips on Impactful Parents Academy, where we strive to provide valuable insights and practical advice to parents like you. I am Oluwakemi Owolabi, your host. You are very much welcome. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so that you can enjoy all the valuable insights that will bring your way as parents every time. Today's edition of Impactful Parenting Tips will be looking at how to achieve obedience in children. Those easy steps that you follow to get your children to obey your instructions. That's what we are considering today. It is not just enough to give your children instruction and they just hear you. Hearing is an involuntary action. Normally, even if the person is not talking to you, you hear the sounds as people are talking. But the major thing that you need from your children is listening. Listening is a soft skill that everyone should acquire. Listening is active. Hearing is passive. There's a difference between listening and hearing. Hearing is passive. It's an involuntary thing you will hear. But to listen is very different. It is a skill that one must learn. And it is a skill that as parents you must teach your children if you want them to be obedient children and to obey your instructions. Listening means making conscious effort to understand what you have heard. Now, hearing is the first thing that happens to the child. The child hears your instruction. Now, for the child to listen, the child has to process the instruction that you as a parent have given the child. The child understands the instruction and the child is now making conscious efforts to carry out the instruction. That is listening. So it is listening that you must make every attempt to achieve with your children. Your children must be able to listen to you. And when they are listening to you, that means they hear the instruction, then they are carrying it out because they have understood the instruction that you gave. The first step to make your child to obey instruction is by making the instruction simple. Children cannot process loads of information at the same time. It will be too overwhelming for them. So if you want your child to follow through with your instructions, then make the instructions simple. Go straight to the point as regards what you want that child to do. Don't beat about the bush, especially with toddlers and those young children that are younger than teenagers. It's better you just give the direct instruction. Instead of saying, why did you put the plate here? Have I not told you not to be putting plate here? Just say, take your plate to the kitchen. That's a straightforward instruction. If you really want your child to get to obey your instruction, the first thing you have to do when you are giving the instruction to the child is by calling the child to yourself. Call the child to yourself. That's stage one. Step two, let the child look you in the eye. Tell the child, look at me, look at me. Step three, give the instruction. Step four, tell the child to repeat the instruction after you. In that case, listening has taken place. Listening has taken place. Step one, call the child to yourself. Step two, tell the child to look you in the eye. Step three, give the instruction. As you're giving the instruction, the child is processing it. That's listening. Step four, tell the child to repeat the instruction. You will now know whether the child has comprehended or understand the instruction or not. After that, it will be easy for the child to carry out the instruction. Even if the child is a teenager, make sure the child understands the instruction you are giving. The next step to achieving obedience in your children is that you have to be calm when you are giving this instruction. Even when they don't follow the instruction immediately, as parents, you have to manage your emotions. Don't tag your children because they don't always follow your instruction. Don't start giving your children a bad name. You know, I always say this. When a child does what is wrong, label the action, not the child. So don't do any negative tagging. You this disobedient boy, you this disobedient girl, you don't always follow instruction, you don't always listen to your parents. No. The child will assume that's who they are and they will not listen. So you have to be calm when giving the instruction, and when your children don't still follow that instruction, still be calm in addressing the situation. The next step to achieving obedience with your children is by making sure that there are consequences for disobedience. When you are giving the instruction, attach a consequence. As I'm giving you this instruction, if you don't do it, this is what will happen. When the children know what will happen and they still go ahead not to follow your instruction, make sure what you said will happen happens. Then some other time, when the children see that you have given them the consequences of disobeying you, they will always obey you. So you have to make sure that the consequence that you have set for that disobedience is carried out by you. Another step in achieving obedience with your children is that you have to set clear and realistic expectations for your children. Don't give the instruction that you as a parent will find it difficult to obey or to follow. Why will you give your child a stressful chore that even you don't want to do? They will find it difficult to do. We have to be empathetic as parents. You have to be empathetic. Put yourself in the shoes of your children. Can you do what you're asking them to do? If you can't do it, what's the point giving them such instructions? They will just disobey outrightly because they don't have the capacity to obey that instruction. Help your children towards obedience by setting clear and realistic expectations for your children. Another way to achieve obedience in your children is by being a good role model yourself. Most of the instructions that you want your children to obey, do you usually act in that manner in your home? If the answer is no, then your children may find it difficult to obey. But the instructions that you are giving your children, let your children see you acting out such instructions yourself in the home. They will naturally copy you and follow in your footsteps. You will achieve obedience with them without having to shout, nag, or beat, or do any of such negative discipline to your children before they obey your instructions. Dear parents, I want to let you know that before you can control your child or make your child to obey, the first thing that should happen is that you have to control yourself. Listening is a gradual thing. It will not happen once. Not that you just give the instruction once and your child will obey. It may take them time, but you have to be calm when controlling your child to make them to obey. So when you are able to control yourself, then you'll be able to control your child. It is easy to get our children to obey our instructions. It depends on the way we carry it out. And that is why this channel is made available for you. You have to carry out the instructions you are giving out in a way that it will be easy for the children to obey. Call them to yourself. Tell them to repeat what you have said to ensure that listening has taken place. Then let them go ahead to carry out the instruction. Peradventure they do not carry out the instruction, make sure there are consequences for such actions that they have done wrong. Next time, they will willingly follow your instruction because they know there is a consequence awaiting them if they don't. Another thing, make sure you are a role model yourself. When you are doing what you want your children to do, they find it so easy to do. Then, don't label your children negatively. You can label their actions so that they know it is wrong, but don't ever label your children. Your children are good children. It's the action that is bad. Don't give a negative tag to your children because they are disobedient. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts about this. At the same time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button now so that you can always be notified whenever amazing videos like this are published to your parenting success.